Have you ever had a neighbor who just doesn't know when to quit? The kind who acts like the entire world is theirs for the taking? Let me tell you about mine, Lisa. Lisa wasn't just your average annoying neighbor. She was brazen, the type who'd take what didn't belong to her without a second thought. And in my case, that was electricity. Yes, you read that right. She was siphoning power from my house to charge her ATV, and not just once or twice. It was her routine. I live in a quiet neighborhood, the kind where people exchange smiles, keep to themselves, and respect each other's property. Most folks here are decent. They mow their lawns, wave as they pass by, and don't mess with what isn't theirs. But Lisa? She was the outlier. Boundaries meant nothing to her. If she wanted something, she'd take it, and apparently that included my electricity. At first, I didn't even notice. My power bill seemed a bit steep, but I chalked it up to leaving too many lights on. Then one day, I spotted something odd, an extension cord running from my outdoor outlet, snaking across my yard, and vanishing into Lisa's garage. It took me a moment to register. Was this for real? Was she actually using my power to charge her stuff? I walked over, unplugged the cord, and tossed it back onto her property. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe she'd apologize, and we'd move on. But not next day, the cord was back, same spot, same setup. She wasn't just borrowing power, she knew exactly what she was doing. I was annoyed but tried to stay reasonable. I knocked on her door and asked about it. She gave me this innocent look and shrugged. "Oh, I didn't think you'd mind. It's just a little power." Like it was nothing, like I was the one overreacting. That's when I realized this wasn't a mistake. She had no intention of stopping, and worse, she didn't feel a shred of guilt. Electricity isn't free. I work hard to pay my bills, and here she was, treating my power like an all-you-can-eat buffet. If I let this slide, what was next? Would she start using my water to fill her pool? I wasn't about to find out. Something had to be done, but first, I wanted to see just how far she'd go. I tried to brush it off at first, hoping Lisa had just made a bad call and would stop once she knew I wasn't okay with it. But then my power bill arrived way higher than usual. I thought maybe my AC was running more or I'd left appliances on, but no, something was off. That's when I started paying closer attention. Sure enough, there was that extension cord again, running from my outlet to her garage. And it wasn't just during the day. I checked at random times and found she was plugging in at night, probably thinking I wouldn't notice. I decided it was time for a friendly chat. The next time I saw her outside, I brought it up casually. "Hey, Lisa, I noticed you've been using my outlet. I'd really appreciate it if you'd stop." She gave me a fake surprised look, like she had no clue. "Oh, I thought you wouldn't mind," she said, acting like she'd just borrowed a stick of butter. I should have known then it wasn't a misunderstanding. She knew exactly what she was doing. The next day, I unplugged the cord and tossed it back toward her yard. Problem solved, right? Wrong. The very next morning, there it was again, plugged in like nothing had happened. Fine, she wanted to play games? I could play too. I started leaving notes on the outlet, not a free charging station, and pay your own power bill. Nothing too harsh, just enough to make my point. But Lisa didn't care. She ignored the notes completely, acting like if she pretended it wasn't a big deal, I'd give up and let her do whatever she wanted. Her excuses got worse. One time, I caught her outside just as she was about to plug in again. I called her out, and she rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. "It's just a little electricity," she said. "Don't be selfish." Selfish? Was she serious? She was stealing from me, and somehow I was the bad guy? But the worst part, she didn't stop. In fact, she got bolder. At first, it was just her ATV charger, annoying but manageable. Then I started seeing more plugged-in power tools, lights, even a mini fridge. She wasn't just taking a little power. She was running full-on appliances off my electricity, and she was doing it in a way that screamed she had no intention of stopping. She'd plug in at night, thinking I wouldn't check, sneaking her cords over like some kind of power bandit. I was done playing nice. She hadn't just crossed the line, obliterated it. One night, I was at home when everything went dark. Lights, TV, fridge, total blackout. I thought it might be a neighborhood outage, but when I looked outside, every other house was lit up except one, Lisa's. That's when it clicked. She must have overloaded my circuit. I grabbed a flashlight, checked my breaker box, and sure enough, the main breaker had tripped. And there, as always, was Lisa's extension cord plugged into my outlet. That was my breaking point. This wasn't just about high bills anymore. She'd cut off my power. What if I'd been working on something critical? What if my fridge was full of groceries now at risk? She didn't care. I reset the breaker, unplugged her cord for the last time, and called an electrician the next morning. I wanted to ensure no serious damage was done and that she hadn't tapped into my wiring somehow. The electrician took one look and shook his head. She's pulling more power than your outlet's meant for. It's a wonder this didn't cause a bigger issue. He confirmed what I suspected. Lisa was stealing way more than a little electricity. If this continued, she could damage my wiring or start a fire. No more talking. No more warnings. I needed a plan that would stop her for good, but I wasn't about to get myself in trouble. I wanted something clever, something that would teach her a lesson she'd never forget. After a few days of research on forums and electrician websites, I found the perfect solution, a trap circuit. It wouldn't hurt anyone, but it would fry anything plugged into a brief, powerful surge that could destroy chargers, power supplies, and small electronics. Best of all, it was completely legal. I bought a decoy outdoor outlet that looked real but wasn't connected to my power. Instead, I wired it to the trap circuit and installed it near where Lisa always plugged in. From the outside, it looked identical to my other outlets. But the moment someone used it, it would zap whatever was plugged in. It didn't take long for Lisa to take the bait. That night, I watched from my window. Just after dark, she crept up, dragging her extension cord like she was on a covert mission. She plugged it in, and pop. No explosion, but a loud snap, a bright spark, and the smell of burnt plastic. Her ATV charger was toast. Lisa jumped back, staring at the outlet, then at her fried charger, completely stunned. Then, true to form, she got mad. She stormed to my door, pounding on it like a debt collector. When I answered, she was already ranting. "You broke my charger," she screeched, holding up the ruined wires like evidence. I crossed my arms. "I didn't break anything. You plugged into my house without permission again. She wasn't having it. This is your fault. You did something." I shrugged. "You mean I protected my property from someone stealing electricity?" "Yeah, I did." Her face turned red. "I'm calling the cops," she snapped. I smiled. "Go ahead. I'll tell them everything." She wasn't expecting that. I could see her trying to process it, wanting to play the victim, but knowing she was in the wrong. She stomped off, muttering, and I knew she was done. She wasn't about to call the cops on herself, and she definitely wasn't going to try stealing my power again. Checkmate, Lisa. The next morning, I took it a step further. I called the police myself. I wasn't going to wait to see if she'd follow through on her threat. I had proof, photos of her cord plugged into my outlet, my spiked power bills, and the electrician's statement confirming she'd been pulling too much power. When the cops arrived, I explained everything: how she'd ignored my warnings, caused my power to go out, and had been stealing electricity for weeks. Right on cue, Lisa came storming out, seeing the police and immediately putting on her best victim act. "He sabotaged my property," she whined, pointing at me like I was the criminal. "He set a trap to break my charger." The officers gave her a look. "Ma'am, were you using his electricity without permission?" She hesitated. "Well, it's just a little power. It's not like he needed it." The moment she said that, it was over. One officer sighed and shook his head. "That's theft, ma'am. And judging by the evidence, it's been going on for a while." Lisa's face went pale. She stammered out excuses, but it was too late. The officers told her she was lucky I wasn't pressing full charges, but she still had to pay for the damages, including my electrician's fee. The real punishment? Her reputation was shot. Word spreads fast in our neighborhood. Other neighbors, who'd probably just tolerated her nonsense before, started watching her closely. She couldn't pull her tricks anymore without someone calling her out. She'd burned every bridge. As for me, I went back to my peaceful, hassle-free life. My electricity bill returned to normal. No more sneaky cords, no more passive-aggressive arguments, just pure satisfaction. And the best part? Lisa was stuck with a fried, useless ATV charger. Every time she looked at it, she'd remember what happened when she tried to mess with me. Lesson learned, Lisa. Lesson learned. Looking back, reasoning with Lisa was a waste of time. Some people don't care about fairness, respect, or common sense. The only thing they understand is consequences. At first, I thought maybe she didn't realize how serious it was, but after all the times I asked her to stop, unplugged her cord, and heard her excuses, it was clear she knew exactly what she was doing. She just didn't think she'd face any repercussions. But justice? Justice is a beautiful thing, especially when it's clever. I didn't have to fight or scream. I didn't break any laws. I just let Lisa's greed do the work for me. She wanted to keep stealing? Fine. But she wasn't ready for what happened when she did. And the best part? She'll never try it again. Oh, and last I checked, Lisa's ATV hasn't moved in weeks. I guess she finally learned that stealing power comes with a cost.